Evening, guys. People are still filtering in, so if you've not already done so, let's get on the phone, on the text. Let's let everybody know what's going on tonight. What's the plan tonight is I'm going to go over some important information, but what I'm going to also play to you guys is a dated millionaire mentorship call. So just listen to this. That some of the information will be dated, but the core information and the philosophy behind it and why I'm showing it is very important, because as we all know, OrganoGold's new to the UK right now, and we want to know exactly what these other markets and other countries have done. And the mentorship call by Halton Buggs was absolutely laid it all out on the line, exactly what we need to do. So what I'm going to do, and the purpose of this call is, listen, we all know now that enrolling new OrganoGold distributors is not that difficult, okay? Because everybody knows that, or knows somebody that drinks coffee or tea at least occasionally, okay? And almost everyone we know wants to make a little bit of extra income. I mean, or a full-time income, whatever that might be. But the key now is making sure that we're all getting off to a good start. We've all got the ability to get going and getting started right. That's the key, okay? Because that's going to be the difference between building big and quitting. And people saying the business doesn't work. I mean, as soon as we've got an OG distributor and a business partner ready, okay, you're going to hear this time and time again. It's all about the 4 steps, okay? And what we want to get into the new starters and old starters alike is learn the 4 steps, live the 4 steps, and then teach them. And that wants to be top priority. That wants to be the most urgent priority that we've got as a group. So what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to screen share some information now. I'm going to go through a brief PowerPoint, and you're going to see exactly how I believe the best possible way to start is. So you're going to hear time and time again that are you aligned with the 4 steps? And this is it, okay? It's I came into it, I'll be honest, very much wanting to do it my own way, wanting to do it with a bit of an ego, a bit of a chip on my shoulder. And I quickly realized that all the hard work's already been done. All the hard work's been done, and you can see from this slide that we have a very universal and simple product. You tie that into the health component, then you look at the leadership which we have. Okay, you're going to see tonight that you've now got, in 6 years, the leader who's going to, Halton Buggs, who's going to teach the information, is the top earner in this industry, in this field. And we've got the ability to learn and be coached by these types of people for free. Okay, it's free, it doesn't cost any money. And right now with the UK launch and us getting excited and pumped up, and I mean, you're going to know people like Ben now, who's bringing in a new class of people and a new business partners every day. It wants to be our priority now, okay? We know the product makes sense. We know we've got the leadership, that we just put the core values and the core leadership and the training in place and start working with that. As you can see here, Mr. Martin here with Eric Worre. I want you to write this down. So if you've not already gone and got a notepad, make sure you do. You'll only retain so much if you're just listening and watching. Let's make sure we write some valuable points down, some points that you think are worthwhile. But we've got an event and coming up on Friday the 13th, 14th and 15th of February, where Mr. Martin is flying in and he's going to be running a series of events. So write this down. Friday the 13th, it's going to be in Castleford at the Wheatsheaf Conference Centre. What he's going to be doing there is going to be a mindset night, a personal development night. But that's going to be open to anyone. It's not company specific. It's not going to be aimed at OrganoGold. It's going to be aimed at people who who want to better themselves. The Saturday and the Sunday is at Village South in Leeds, but that's going to be OrganoGold. So we want to make a big push for that. Okay, the tickets are going to be available for that on Eventbrite. If you've not already seen them in the group, get those purchased, okay, and promote those to your team. Again, you've been taught by a millionaire for £20. Okay, that's it. And this is a big site for all new starters before we go into the main body of the training. We have an online training academy, a platform where everybody can go on there and get started efficiently. And what we've got on there, we've not only got audio, but we've got the transcripts, which means you can read them. Okay, make yourself familiar with this site. This is a great site for new starters as well. So the training tonight, as I've said, a little bit of edification. You'll hear this name crop up time and time again. Halton Buggs. As you can see there, yearly income from last year, Halton Buggs was the top earner in the industry. And I've already said some of the information will be dated, but the information is still valid. Any business principle, anything that's worked in the past works right now, okay, will not change. And that's what we're looking at. So we're going to take good notes, okay? We're going to work through the 4 steps, and you're going to see exactly why this company is moving at the pace that it's moving. So we'll get started, guys.
Wonderful. Well, thanks each and every one of you for joining us on this evening's call. As you can tell, we literally have thousands of people who have called into the line and also listening in online as well. This is the Available International Millionaire Mentorship Training Call. My name is Portia Mitchell, Ruby Consultant out of Houston, Texas, and I have the honor and pleasure of bringing on our trainer for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat indeed. The gentleman who's going to be leading the call today is absolutely no stranger to success. If you've been a part of OrganoGold for as little as a second, you've definitely heard his name, responsible for creating this incredible movement, empowering people, and definitely empowering lives all across the country here. This gentleman has been retired since he was 27 years young, and by the age of 31 was a documented multi-millionaire. He's not even 40 yet, and is still just blazing the trail in the profession of network marketing. Out of the 50 million people who are in our profession, he's ranked number 18 in income earning, and I'm excited and honored that he's our Vice President of Sales. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the line, Mr. Holton Buggs. Mr. Buggs, are you with us?
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Portia, for being our conference call host. I want to welcome everybody to the call here tonight. I know we've got a pretty exciting one. We got lines already packed out, and we've got multiple bridges to this conference call. Portia gave out, 2 numbers. And so if you actually find some people who are saying, hey, I can't get in, she gave out the coffee break call number. There's one additional number that I want to give you as well that we can always dial into. This bridge right here will hold up to another 1,000.
The host, please press 1 at any time. And
okay, okay, there we go. Now, the other number that we'll have that will that people can dial into as well is 218-862 and 862-1300, and the PIN number is 246857. Okay, that's 246857. So either of those lines, right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're having a request for thousands of people on every Sunday night to get on. Those of you who get on through the internet, you can actually listen in also from the OrganoGoldTV.com, and there's no limit to the number of listeners who can listen in from the internet. So if you're at home and you're in front of a computer and you've got a great connection, we strongly recommend you get on the internet as well and leave, some of the call-in lines for those who may be mobile or whatever. But anyway, excited to actually have our second week of OrganoGold behind us in the month of April, and moving into that third week. And I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, things are rocking like never before. As I mentioned on the call before, we're already ahead again of last month than where we were this time. And so things are just happening all over OG. We've got more pins that are actually going to break this month here, more diamonds that are going to break this month. And so, as we said on the last call, I dare you to be diamond. I dare you to be diamond. And that's really what it's all about. So, guys, we're excited about where the future of our company is going. Today we'll give you a couple of updates, but there's going to be some specific training that I'll do as well. But also towards the end of the call, there's a promotion that we want to unveil for each and every one of you. Everybody who's listening in on the line, there is a promotion that we'll unveil to you that will be, I can tell you this, it will be of great interest to you to participate in this particular promotion. So we're all about taking it to the next level. OG right now, it is the talk of the industry. It's the talk of every single household when it comes to network marketing. If a subject comes up about network marketing, the words OrganoGold is coming up, and it's because of what you guys have actually gone out there and done. You guys are out there passing out the samples. You guys are out there showing the plan. You guys are out there following up, getting customers, drinking coffee, doing whatever it is that you've got to do to get the word out there. And I can tell you, we've done an incredible job of it. And so today's call, let me go ahead and just kind of give you a little precursor as to some of the things that I'm going to talk about on the call. I'm actually going to give you a little outlook or an outline on how we work through the zones. There's 3 specific zones that we actually work the business. I'm also going to go through the 4 steps. I'm also going to explain the philosophy behind the 4 steps. And I know some of you probably say, well, Holton, I hear the 4 steps all the time. Well, 9 times out of 10, you do. You hear the 4 steps all the time, but there's probably a chance that you don't hear it in the same capacity in which I execute the 4 steps, all right? And so whenever I go to a particular place, I've been going all over the place. I went to Charlotte, North Carolina. I went to Richmond, Virginia. I was over in Kansas City. I was over in Memphis. Recently, obviously, was over in Europe with the UK, Greece, and Austria, all over the place. And one of the things that I've challenged everybody, even though people have been in the business maybe a year, some have been in over 2 years, and I challenge them. I said, I'm going to challenge you to be able to say with certainty that the way that I explain and the way that I execute the 4 steps, I'm going to challenge each person in here to be able to honestly say, that's how I do the 4 steps. And ladies and gentlemen, there's very few and far between when I get people who can say, yep, I've done it, but this is the way I do it. And typically when they say it, they're standing up, but they're sitting in the front row, and it was typically the diamonds. Typically the diamonds. Sometimes I've gone to places and there's nobody who can say or witness that, yep, this is exactly what I do in terms of the 4 steps. I want to explain something to everybody who's on the call, that that genius is not necessarily being able to do something that's complicated, or to create something that very little people can understand or very little people can do. Genius, ladies and gentlemen, what genius is to take something that appears to be impossible, but to make it so simple where everybody can say, I can do it. Everybody can say, I can do it. You know, one of the things I can tell you about networking, specifically when it comes to speaking and talking in front of organizations of people, of guests, is that what I find that the rookies, the people who are not what I call professionals, they want to get in front of the room and they want to sound so great and they want to come across so profound, whereas only a few people can really understand what they're saying. That's not genius, ladies and gentlemen. That's amateur. A professional, or someone who is who's an expert, or someone who's an artist, is able to take something that may have been complex, but be able to create a common language or a common delivery, whereas everybody says, I understand the message. I understand the message. Well, the reason I point that out is because that's exactly what our 4 steps is. When I talk to networkers all around the world, and they fly in and we sit down and we share with them how we built the business, they always come back and they say, wow, this is really simple. But tell me, how do you guys really do it? How do you really do it? As if there's actually some kind of, a message behind the message. Well, ladies and gentlemen, many of you know, and our global master distributor, Shane Moran, he can attest to it. All of our diamonds who was there in the very beginning can attest to it. Abby Akiola, Sam Bean, and Edwin Haynes, and Emmanuel Bernstein, Rod Smith, they can tell you that for our first 6 months, we didn't do any Super Saturday events. We didn't do major events. All we talked about and all we trained on, Ramon Fulcher was there, all we trained on was the 4 steps. Well, why is that? It's because we wanted to lay a foundation and permeate the entire organization with a simple philosophy that everybody could actually say, everybody could remember, but more importantly, that everybody could actually execute, okay? And that's what we wanted. We wanted everybody being able to execute it. So when I get to the 4 steps, I'm going to break it down, whereas everybody understands not only the action steps behind the 4 steps, the action is very important with the 4 steps. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, our goal is not necessarily to teach you just what to do. Teaching you what to do only actually creates dependency. It creates dependency. It creates what I call a robotic response. It means that you're going to perform based off of just what's said, and that means that you don't have a thought process to understand why. So our goal is not only to teach you what to do, but why we actually do it. The philosophy behind the action, okay? And once you start to understand and get the philosophy, that's when you can actually move mountains. You can actually really understand the whole system place here, and you can actually make things happen at the speed that you actually choose. But let's talk about the zones in which we actually build the business. We talk about 3 specific zones, and this is a mindset that I want you going through your entire month with, okay? We actually told you what you should be doing from the beginning of the month. We talked a couple of calls ago and talked about goal setting or planning out your calendar, and that your calendar actually should have been set up towards the end of March for April. If you waited to April to start putting your calendar and your game plan in place, even if you wait until April 1st, if you're a Sapphire or above and you didn't have your calendar planned out the last week of the month of March, then you're only going to have about 2.5 to maximum 3 weeks worth of execution for the month of April. Now, I want you to imagine something for a moment, and I want to give you the philosophy behind this. I want you to imagine that OrganoGold came out with a new policy, and it said that in order for you to go Ruby, in order for you to go Emerald, Diamond, or any of the leadership or elite leadership levels, that the company will pay you for 4 weeks, but you can only use 2.5 to maximum 3 weeks worth of activity or volume in terms of contributing that CV or CV contributing to the volume needed for that goal. Okay, we all know Diamond requires a minimum of 200,000 in volume. And what if the company said, hey, listen, we know that there's 4 weeks in a month, but you're only going to be able to use 3. Take your best 3 weeks of the 4, and that's what you could use. Many of you right now will look and say, man, that's not fair. Why would the company do something like that? They're putting us at a disadvantage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, many of you are doing it to yourselves. Many of you are doing it to yourselves. I want you to understand that as our company goes through growth, momentum, or just growth. I don't even want to use the word momentum right now. That's not what we are, but we're having growth. We're in a growth phase in our business today, okay? So as the company goes through a growth phase, you want to be able to take advantage of what's going on. Well, how do you put yourself in position to take advantage of it? You want to make sure that you use every single day that's available to you to create growth, not only from a activity standpoint, but from a mental standpoint, okay? From a mental standpoint. So always remember, anytime you hear on this conference call, myself, you hear Shane Moran, you'll hear David Emelitia, you'll hear our Black Diamonds and our other diamonds, you'll hear us speak and you'll hear us train. I want you to always understand this. Let me share with you the easiest way in OrganoGold to hit it big, to knock the ball out of the park. The easiest way is this, is to say, if they said it from the conference call and it came from a diamond or above, even though I don't understand it, it's more than likely something that I should put and exercise in my business. Now, I know that is really simple, but many of us come with preconceived notions of how we do things, and we come from other companies or we come from other situations, and we think, okay, well, that's not the way I do it. And I completely understand that that's not the way you do it. But at the same token, I want you to understand this, that if your way worked, that's the way we would be doing it. That's not an arrogant statement. It's just the truth. If what it was that you were doing created 6 diamonds in 1 month, we will be doing it your way, okay? And so until your way creates that type of success, it will be more advantageous to you and your team for you to do it the way that the system has designed. The system is not designed to force you into any type of pattern of behavior or anything. The system is designed to give you guidelines, to give you a track to run on, okay? Now, some philosophies that you always hear us talk about. You hear us talk about running your auto ship on the 1st of the month. Running your auto ship on the 1st of the month, okay? Now, some of you hear that and say, oh, well, yeah, that sounds real good, but you know what? If I do it on the 1st, or if I just go in and place an order at the end of the month, it's the same volume, so it really doesn't matter, okay? Now, I want you to also write this one down. How I do anything is how I do everything. Write that one down. How I do anything is how I do everything. let me give you some philosophy on why we suggest you run your auto ship on the first. Are you correct that the volume of your personal auto ship is the exact same volume, whether it's run on the 1st or the 30th or the 31st? You're absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. Now, but remember, in this type of business, you can't be situational based. You have to be principle based, which means you can't separate what's good for you. Okay? You can't separate what's just good for you at the time of, when it's convenient for you. You've got to be principle based. So, however, even though, let's just say that your personal volume, which I strongly recommend, well, let me give you my not just a recommendation. Let me give you what I know about OG. It is almost impossible for you to look me in my eyes and say, Holton, I believe that I'm going to be a diamond in Organogold, and I am working the business to become sapphire, ruby, emerald, or diamond at this point. If I don't see $450 worth of CV worth of coffee, not the capsules, that's on top of it. Coffee, black and latte, not mocha, not green tea. If I don't see $450 of black and latte in your back office, then it's going to be very difficult for you to actually tell me or prove to me, okay, that you are actually in the hunt to go diamond. Now, I don't need your 450. Shane doesn't need your 450. Bernie doesn't need your 450. That's not why we promote it. Some of you come off and think, okay, well, they talking about 450. They just want to get rich. Absolutely. But we only can get rich if you get rich in the process. Okay? You got to remember, if you own the McDonald's, let's say that you were, let's say you were part of the Kroc family. Wouldn't it make sense for the McDonald's franchises, if you were the owner, and if the McDonald's franchise says, hey, I want to double up on my hamburger buns, that means that you've got enough people who are preparing to double up on their hamburger sales. It's the exact same principle. So what I'm saying about you've got to be principle-based is you can't bring employee thinking into a business and expect to get entrepreneurial results. It just doesn't work. Now, so let's get back to it. You doing a 450 on the first is the exact same volume of 450 on the 30th. But remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. The other thing is this, is that you can only teach something with any degree of authority that you're actually doing yourself. People can smell a phony or a fake a mile away. And you can't fool me or Shane because we've got access to see your back office. Okay? And so remember, don't ever think that you're fooling anybody. Everybody knows every secret that you think that you're keeping away from your group and from your upline. It's very apparent. I just want to let you know that. Okay? It's very apparent. If you're not showing the plan consistently, we can hear it in your voice because what you'll be talking about is challenges and issues going on in your group versus growth. Okay? You don't even have to show us your calendar. We already know what's going on. So now, why on the first should you have your auto ship placed on the first of the month? Let me give you an example, okay? Because now what you've done is that you're giving your group an entire 30 days to work off of momentum versus only a day or even 2 weeks. You say, well, Holton, I don't understand, okay? Well, let me give you this example here. What I have noticed after building this business here for at least 20 years in this industry of networking, specifically over the last 10 years, this is what I do notice, especially in OG. On the very first of the month, now remember, what you do, you're going to duplicate. So assume that you've got 1,000 people in your organization. Just assume 1,000 people. By the time you go diamond, you'll have around 1,000 people in your organization, okay? Now, at least. So assume you've got 1,000 and they all do what you do. Let me give you the difference between the two different philosophies here. You run the auto ship on the first and everybody else in your group does the exact same thing. What does that mean? It means on the first of the month when they wake up in the morning, their check, their unilevel or residual check is very, very very strong. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think people move and do more and are more motivated with a smaller check or a bigger check? Obviously, a bigger check. It means that the mental and the emotional momentum that your group has, they will be able to work with that level of high for 29 to 30 days. Why? They woke up on the first. Man, my check is this much already? Wow, let me get to work. I've got 29 to 30 more days to make it even grow higher. Now, let's just say person B, the person who wants to take the long route, the person who doesn't want momentum or emotional momentum to work in their favor. So what they do is that they put their auto ship on the 15th, or they say, you know what, I'll just pay my auto ship before the month ends. But everybody else in your group does it as well. On the first of the month, that runs across, guess what happens? Your group looks at their back office and say, wow, not much movement. They're not motivated or as motivated, okay? And so you don't have the excitement factor that's working for you. You don't have that passion and enthusiasm and the comparison of last month's auto ship on the first comparison to this month so that they can see it's growing. So guess what happens? They put it on the 15th. When the 15th happens, on the 15th, the morning of the 15th, they wake up, wow, auto ship came, man, it's rocking. My check's through the roof. Guess what? They only have 2 more weeks to work the month with that level of enthusiasm. So what I'm telling you is this, by putting your auto ship on the first, it's the same money. It's the same CV, but the end result, ladies and gentlemen, is exponentially different. It is exponentially different, okay? I promise you, it's not a mathematical equation that we can write down, but it's a philosophy and it's a belief system, because you got to remember, people are working this business based off of emotion and belief, okay? They don't work the business off of scientific facts. All people who are saying they're going diamond, guess what they say? I am going diamond. It is the emotional and it's a belief decision that they're actually making. And so you want to make sure that they're making it with the most strength that they possibly can have. So that's why we want you to having auto ships on the first of the month. Not just so that, some of you, well, I got bills the first of the month. Exactly. Make more money to take care of your bills. Put your auto ship on the first. Your people auto ships on the first. And guess what? On the first of the month, you'll see bigger results. You'll be more excited, more emotionally driven towards your business. Okay? So those are some of the philosophy differences. And I'm not giving you all of them. Those are just a couple of examples. Let's talk about the zones, how we work through the zones. The first through the 10th of the month is what we call the white zone. The white zone is what we call massive exposure. What we have actually done to help you with that, many of you probably noticed, man, I was putting my auto ships on the first and it wasn't coming, until much later. Well, Shane and I have been working around the clock with operations and to make sure that on the first of the month, which is our biggest order month, okay, it's our biggest order day out there. We're running thousands upon thousands upon thousands, almost 10,000 orders actually ran on the 1st of April, okay? So we've already put things in place to make sure that you get your product ASAP, okay? But remember, the philosophy behind it is not so that you get your coffee on the first. The philosophy behind it is so that you have the biggest emotional high starting on the first, coming out of the starting blocks, okay? Instead of halfway through the month or halfway through the race, all right? Now, so massive exposure, that means that you're sampling like crazy. It means that you are exposing people to the opportunity. It means that you've got more DVDs of the new gold standard getting into the hands of your prospects. It means that you've got invites and you're doing what we call phone team, maybe on Sundays or the week before, and you're getting together collectively, and you're inviting people for the CJMs. You're inviting people for the weekly briefing. My strongest advice to you, if you're Sapphire or headed to Sapphire, you're finding low attendance at your CJMs, I strongly recommend, why don't you pull 2 to 3 personally sponsored, maybe 4 or 5 personally sponsored legs together, come over to somebody's house and do what we call phone team, okay? And that's when you collectively get together. It's fun. Everybody has more courage, more belief. The invite and picking up that 800-pound gorilla is not so bad when you're looking at your counterpart who's over there who just booked 5 appointments. And we make it very fun and competitive. We put up a whiteboard and we mark down how many invites you've got, how many confirmations you got. And the person who has the least amount of invites buys the pizza or whatever it may be. So you make it real fun, okay? This is a way to get exposures out. The name of the game is exposures, okay? Exposure, exposure, exposure. The person who does not get exposed to a sample of coffee has a very limited chance of becoming an Organogold distributor. Always remember that. So in your group, if you've got 10,000 exposures that's going out between the 1st and the 10th, let me ask you a question. Do you think that there is a great chance to get more people into the business than the person who only has 1,000? Absolutely. Okay. Now, when we say exposures, we're not talking about blind exposures. I don't believe in email blast. I don't believe in radio blast. I don't believe in flyers. I don't believe in what I call the mass media buying leads. Now, if you're doing that, it doesn't mean that it can't work. Okay. When I say I don't believe in, I believe in simplicity and duplication. Most of those are not duplicatable. If you're calling leads, you might be able to sponsor 50 people by calling leads, but you'll probably invest maybe 10 hours a day on the phone because you can do that. The average person doesn't have the time or the resources to do it, and so therefore I don't actually teach that. I teach something that anybody can actually do. That's the name of the game. The more people that I get doing the things that I do to make the business work, the more and the bigger of a team that I'll actually build. Same goes for you. So 1st through the 10th is massive exposures. Always remember that. Keep that in your mind. Massive exposures. Okay. Now, the 11th through the 20th is what we call massive sponsoring. Okay. That is the blue zone. The blue zone is massive sponsoring. If you've exposed 10,000 people in your organization, not you personally, but maybe your organization, then that's why we've got a system of follow-up. We've got a system of taking them through the process so that they can become a distributor. Okay? We've got a system of follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up. You've heard us say that quite a few times. Okay? So remember, don't send coffee out. Don't show the plan. Don't send out a new gold standard DVD without setting up a time to follow up, specifically when you're doing the 4 questions. Okay? I can tell you right now, the company we receive, I don't know how many leads per week of people emailing Organogold saying, hey, I was somewhere, somebody gave me some samples of coffee, I like it, but I didn't have a contact information for them or I lost it, but they never followed up with me. Can you please help me find a sponsor? Okay, you'd be amazed. And guess what we do with those leads? We send them to the Rubies and above and whatever area that those people are calling from. Okay, and several Rubies have gotten them and they're just ready to sign up. They don't have to close them. They don't have to sample them. They've already been sampled, but there are people who are left behind by those of us who fail to follow up. Okay? Massive sponsoring, it goes in that zone. Now, just imagine if those people actually have the attitude to call, just imagine how many just say, you know what, man, they didn't follow up with me. Wow, they're quite unprofessional. I thought they would follow up, and they just don't even call Organogold. I'm certain that there's thousands out there. There are thousands of people who actually have been sampled, and no one has followed up with them. Okay, so the fortune is in the follow-up. You've got to learn also the art of the 3-way call. You've got to master the art form of the 3-way call. Okay, you've got to master it, the 3-way call. Now, the 3-way call is one of the most underutilized tools that we have in Organogold. Okay, the 3-way call. Now, and remember, the purpose of the 3-way call, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you this. One of the purposes, 2 purposes of it, okay? It's not necessarily to sponsor people. That's not, okay? Remember, the activities that we do are not designed to sponsor. Sponsoring people come as a result of doing these activities. The purpose of a three-way call is to not make you the issue. It's to actually give third-party credibility to someone else who has experience and success so that you can remove you from the picture. Why? The majority of the people are not diamonds, emeralds, rubies, or sapphires. Most of you who are listening on this call have not hit sapphire yet. And so when people look at you and they judge the business based off of what you have currently done, the picture may not be so bright. Because remember, they're not going to judge you based off of what you are going to do. They're going to judge you based off of what you have currently done. So the three-way call, it takes the buck off of you. It passes credibility on to your expert who has already done it. And that's why the people actually get involved, because of the person that they respect and you, the person that they trust. And I'm not going to go through how to do a three-way call. That's the first reason. The second reason for doing a three-way call is to set the proper example for that brand new person that you just sponsored to not try to close people themselves when they get involved in the business. Okay? It is a training example. That is one of the purposes of the three-way call as well. Remember, to pass credibility away from themselves and pass it on to the expert. The second is to set the example, okay, that, you know what, when I get a brand new prospect and I've sampled people and they're ready to talk, let me not be the one to answer the questions. Let me call my upline. So it is an example, okay? It is an example. Now, when I do three-way calls, or if you're a professional and if you're a diamond, okay, let me just give you this, okay? It is not necessary in all cases to have to do a three-way call, because number one, especially if you're three-way calling another professional networker, they already understand the example of the three-way call. In most cases, you have the credibility that they're looking for, and so that's why sometimes a diamond doesn't have to do a three-way call with another diamond, okay? It's specifically if they're speaking with a networker, somebody who has been a professional in this industry, because they already expect a three-way call. They understand it, okay? So I want you to be able to differentiate between the two and understand it, all right? So the blue zone is massive sponsoring. Blue zone is massive sponsoring. Now, the red zone is what we call massive volume, and it takes place between the 21st and the end of the month, the red zone. I want to tell you what's going to happen in the red zone in the month of April and what should happen every month. What happened in the month of March that caused us to break 6 new diamonds in the month of March? It was the red zone activity. Now, red zone activity cannot exist without the white zone and the blue zone taking place as well. They all have to be there together. If you've paid attention to the system that we put in place, our system is action-dependent. All elements of our system are interdependent. That means that each component needs the other component. When you remove one component of our system, it's almost as if you were baking a cake and you decided that you were going to leave out eggs. Okay? You may say, I don't like eggs. Well, I'm going to leave eggs out because I don't like eggs. Well, you're not going to get a cake. Okay? See, you may not like three-way calls. You may not like doing auto ship on the first. But you're also probably not going to be a diamond. Okay? You're probably not going to even be a ruby. You might sneak up on sapphire, but you're probably not going to be a ruby. Okay? And so that's just giving you the fact, no matter how much you are a good of a person you are, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to pay 100% of the price of what it takes to be successful in this business. Okay? And so don't look to shortcut what's already a shortcut. Our system is already in there, and it is designed to be the shortcut for you. It is already designed to be the shortcut. So don't try to take the shortcut and design your own shortcut. Red zone. Red zone is massive volume. It means this. It means through the white zone and massive sponsoring and blue zone, it means that now you've gotten a lot of reps in. Some of those reps have come in at our basic level. Some of them have come in at bronze and silver, okay? And some of them have come in and kind of gotten started. Some of them came in and maybe didn't even really get off to a good start. The red zone, ladies and gentlemen, is when you take the people who came in at the maybe a bronze level, and you're actually at the end of the month, you're able to do maybe one conference call or maybe just what I call a distributor orientation, explaining to them the benefit of being able to upgrade so that they can capture more income from the same work that they're going to do anyway. Well, why is it so important that you can do it at the end of the month? Because, see, by the end of the month, what has happened is you've actually gotten them some results during the white and the blue zone that they now believe what you have to say. In the very beginning, they may not have much belief because they're still in what I call skepticism mode. And it's okay. It is completely okay. You get them somebody sponsored. You take them through the 4 steps as I'm going to talk to you about in a moment. Guess what? They believe a little bit more. I can tell you right now, even with the people that I specifically work with, you know what? In the very beginning, you can ask Edwin Haynes. You know what? I would tell him things, and guess what he'd say? He'd question them a little bit. Edwin Haynes started making some money. Guess what? The more he believed in whatever it is that I had to say, why? I earned the right to get his ear. I earned that right to get his ear. I showed him some results, and based off me showing him some results, he's like, wow, I trust. And I showed him more results. Guess what? I trust more. I showed him more results. Guess what? I trust more. I showed him more results. Guess what? He trusted more. And so now, whatever it is that I say, he no longer has to use his own thought process. Guess what he does? He goes ahead and he executes without having to think about it, because the trust is there. You're going to have to earn that trust of your distributors. And the best way to earn the trust of your distributors, ladies and gentlemen, is to show them some results. When I look at Mr. David Monichier, I have earned that trust. When I look at people like Jose Ardon and John Secturis, whatever I ask Jose to do, he doesn't think about it anymore. He go ahead and he does it. Okay, and it's the same with many of our other leaders that we're working with. I say, hey, listen, you do this, guess what? They just go ahead and they actually do it because we've earned that right. And you're going to have to do the exact same thing. Okay. Now, so this is when you actually are getting more upgrades. Okay. So that means that you're working the business smart. You're getting a lot of new people in the business. Plus you're getting those who already came into the business to actually upgrade so that they can maximize the compensation plan. So from the 21st through the 30th, this is what should happen. 21st through the 30th, you should do more volume in those 10 days than you did from the 1st through the 20th. You say, oh, Holton, you only got 10 days. Yes, you're absolutely true. But remember all those people who started their auto ship on the 1st of the month? You remember all those cases that came through? Do you know that those people saw that they can actually get to Sapphire much easier? They saw it on the 1st of the month, so they got to working. Instead of being able to see it on the 15th and having only 15 days, they've been believing for 20 days, 25 days, 30 days. And guess what? Because they've been believing for that length of time, they're going to go ahead and follow through. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, more volume will come through your organization when you work the business the way that the system, okay, the system is designed to get results. Okay, the way that the system is designed to get results, when you work it that way, I promise you, you'll be much happier and you'll be more profitable. Okay, so those are the zones in which we work. The red zone is massive volume, Okay, massive volume up. Okay, that's the zone of massive volume. Now, I want to talk to you now about the 4 steps. I want to kind of give you a little idea of the 4 steps, how I work the 4 steps, how I've utilized the 4 steps in my business so that you'll understand as well. I'm going to kind of give you some philosophy behind it as well and break it down for you. Okay? Now, on the 4 steps, let's talk about step number 1. See, the 4 steps to some can actually be a little boring, but it should be. Remember this, successful people get good at things that are boring. Okay? Anytime you want to start mixing it up, and I have people come to me all the time and say, Holton, well, why don't we play some different music at the CJM? You know, because, man, you know, people get tired of hearing the same songs. People get tired of hearing the same song. It's because those people are looking for entertainment value. They're not looking for a principle that works. See, I don't want to leave anything to chance. I can tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, some of these diamonds, they didn't go diamond by popping in, hip hop. They went diamond by popping in, Unwrapped Hidden Beach Recordings Volume 2. So why take the chance and say, well, let me see if this music will work as well? Okay? If you own the McDonald's franchise, maybe you'll get tired of wearing that uniform. But McDonald's didn't become McDonald's because they have their employees dress up in shirt and tie. Maybe you like to dress, but that's not necessarily what got McDonald's where they are. Maybe your favorite color is fuchsia, or maybe your favorite color is red. But it doesn't make sense to paint the arches red or fuchsia if you own a McDonald's franchise. Why? Because red or fuchsia arches has not created billions served. Everybody in the world recognizes the gold arches. Okay? They recognize those gold arches. And so I'm sure it's there for a purpose. Remember this as well. Don't tear down the fences until you know why they were put up. That is a statement that will save you so much time. It will save you so much heartache and headache and frustration. Don't tear down the fences until you know why those fences were put up. What does that mean? There will be philosophies that we'll teach and that we'll share that may be foreign to you, that you've never experienced because you've never been in this capacity of a business. And if you don't understand them, don't discount them just because they're not familiar, just because you're not familiar with them. Wait until you reach the diamond level. Wait until you understand why they were put up. See the principle behind why they work before you start to discount them. Okay? Now, so 4 steps. The first step, it's 3 components of the first step. 3 components. The first step says become a product of the product. Product of the product. Remember, do not ever get bored with teaching the 4 steps. It is our golden arches. If we have arches, it is the 4 steps and the 4 questions. We'll never get rid of these. We'll never, ever go around these. This is the foundation of all success in Organo Gold. First step, become a product of the product. The product of the product, the first component of it is develop your testimonial within your first 48 hours. There's a reason behind that. Send your testimonial to your sponsor. Most of you on this call, I would venture to say, have not completed that step. See, it doesn't say just try the product. It doesn't say get a testimonial. It also says forward that testimonial to your sponsor. So those of you on the call, if I was to actually say, how many of you have done it? Okay, I would venture to say 98 to 99% of the people on this call have not sufficiently completed just even the first component of step 1. If you haven't, then tonight you need to email your sponsor your product story. What is your product story? Well, let me give you the philosophy behind it. The philosophy behind it is this. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, in the beginning, we talked about there were 3 criteria in which we chose this particular company and product. Okay? The third component, the third criteria was this, is that we wanted to make sure that the income that we earn, and when I say we, I'm talking to all of us, the income that we earn from people who have an attachment to the product is greater than the income that we earn from people who have a benefit from the compensation plan. It simply means product users. That is what the goal is, to have people loyal to the product. That's why that is the very first of any of the steps. Because what if we have people showing the plan but not selling product? There's no income in that. We can have people using the product, never showing the plan, never telling anybody about it, and guess what? It still produces income for everybody on this call if you've got those people in your group. So that's what's most important. is that people are actually attached to the product. Step one is designed to create that first component of attachment. We want them remembering what this product did for them. We want them when times get tough and maybe they're not making money in OrganoGold because maybe they run out of one market or maybe they're just not working the business. We don't ever want them saying, I'm not working the business, so I'm not going to take the product. I can tell you right now, from experience of 20 years in this industry, previous companies, when I stopped working with those companies, I also stopped taking the product because there was no strong attachment. We want to reverse that here with OrganoGold. It also will contribute to your residual income escalating every month instead of just staying the same or having what I call that roller coaster effect, up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay? That's the purpose of why we give why we ask to make sure within 48 hours, send that testimonial. Send that testimonial, okay? Now, you should also try all the products in OrganoGold. All the products you should try, okay? And know what those products do. The second component is set up the appropriate auto ship. Set up the appropriate auto ship, okay? Okay? Now, the appropriate auto ship, what do I mean by the appropriate auto ship? The appropriate auto ship is based on, this is how I govern what the auto ship is. I govern the appropriate auto ship based on what level you want to qualify the next month. Okay? So if I'm at a CJM or I'm at an opportunity meeting and I sign up a new person and I'm going through the 4 steps with them, what I'm going to ask them is this. Let me ask you a question. You obviously saw some of the compensation plans. Do you at least plan to get paid at the consultant level or above next month? And I always wait for the answer. I don't say you're going to qualify to get paid. I don't tell them. I ask them. Always ask questions, never give directives, never give orders, never boss anybody around. You ask questions. And they typically are going to say yes. Or they say, well, what is the consultant level? Well, the consultant level, when you become a consultant, you at least get paid 15%. Some levels you can get paid 20%. Do you plan to get paid at that level next month? Oh, sure. Absolutely I do. Great. Well, let's go ahead and set your auto ship up so that you qualify to get paid as a consultant, which is a minimum of 100 CV. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, I have never, ever in the history of OrganoGold signed someone up and put $50 of CV in their back office. Because I ask the right questions. I don't do it behind their backs. Do not ever take a person's application, be afraid to discuss auto ship with them, and sign them up on auto ship without their permission. Okay? And I can tell you, customer service gets calls from distributors saying, well, I didn't sign up for anything additional. It's because those of you who are running what I call the Mickey Mouse organization instead of a professional business, you're afraid to lead the people and tell them that it's a business. You're so excited that you sign them up that you're hoping that they don't quit if they found out about auto ship. That's not a person that you want in your business. You want someone who's looking forward to moving more product, not someone who's trying to avoid having more product go through their business. Okay? I set them up on the appropriate auto ship. Now, do I set people up on 450 when they just sign up? No. The answer is no. There have been some occasions, yes, there have been, from people who are actually setting a standard of leadership, or they got strong expectations of earnings, or strong expectations of accelerating through the ranks, then yes, I will. Okay? And more specifically, they've had some experience with network marketing. But in the beginning, it's a culture shock for you to do that. All right? But let me tell you how I get them on 450 the next month. Let's say Portia, who introduced me on the call, I was signing Portia up. And I said, Portia, listen, I understand that you just got started with the gold pack here. Great. Portia, you know when you sell that product, you're going to receive at retail about $1,900 back. Portia, this is what I want you to do. I want you to reserve about $450 of that $1,900. I want you to reserve that for reoccurring capital that goes into your business on a monthly basis. Which means, Portia, it will never come out of your pocket. It's simply coming from this initial gold pack. Can we agree on that? She's going to say, oh, absolutely. Why? Because, see, Portia's not going to think that this is coming off of her credit card. I'm teaching Portia how to build an effective, profitable business. And I'm teaching her from day one how to be a responsible business person. You've got to learn the lingo of a true successful business person. A successful business person does not avoid responsibility when it comes to business. They accept it, they meet it head on, and guess what? They move forward. I'd rather invest time with 5 people who are committed than 25 people that don't know the truth and are kind of halfway about whether they want to do this or not. You'll never go diamond by avoiding teaching people the real business. You got to teach them the real and the whole business, okay? So that is how I get people on auto ship of 100 CV minimum, okay? Because remember, you don't want them to qualify for a consultant and then find themselves doing 50 CV of auto ship, and then the company's only paying them 10% in their dual team, and they thought that they were actually going to be getting paid at 20%. Now you've got explanations to do, you've got trust barriers that you've got to overcome, you've got disappointment, you've got disillusionment, all of that stuff going on, and it's going to slow down your growth. Remember, you want to manage the expectations properly of your new distributors. This is all about, is managing the expectations. Okay? Now, so when you look at, that's the second component. The third component is this. Make sure that you get a person 2 boxes of coffee that you sell to them at wholesale. Remember I spoke and I said that each component of our system is interdependent. It means that it's actually, they're all chain linked. When you break one chain, the whole thing, it doesn't flow as fluidly as it would have been if you kept everything together. So you get them 2 boxes of coffee. Now, some people have this philosophy. Well, Holton, you have no idea this person's having hard times. They're having money problems. Great. Are you having money problems? Yes, I am. Okay, great. Well, you should buy 4 boxes of coffee versus 2. Okay? I'm not selling them 4 boxes of coffee so that they can have an expense, or 2 boxes of coffee so they can have an expense. I'm selling them 2 boxes of coffee, ladies and gentlemen, so that they can succeed, so that they can put money in their pocket. I won't do this training here, but at one of the next Super Saturdays, I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to show you how every person that I sell 2 boxes of coffee to, and I teach it. If you teach it the way I teach it, and if you understand the way I understand it, the $30 that they invest in the 2 boxes of coffee will bring back an $800 return just off of those 2 boxes alone. Okay? I won't break it down on this call here, but I'll do it visually at one of the next Super Saturday trainings, or maybe even at Project 50,000, the leadership portion of it. We'll do that so that you really understand that there is a reason why we say that. The other reason why we want them to do that is because when you get a brand new person into the business, their first impulse is to go and talk to people about the business. Well, most of you should understand our philosophy. No explanations, only experiences. Okay? No explanations, only experiences. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? That means that nobody should have to explain. You shouldn't have your brand new distributor going to work tomorrow trying to explain how latte tastes. Okay? They shouldn't have to explain. You should just be able to have them give a sample. Okay? Right now, if you think about it, everybody on this call, if I ask you, this is your assignment, I want you to explain how Haagen-Dazs chocolate ice cream tastes with the cherry on top. You couldn't explain it if you wanted to. You know how it tastes because of the experience, but you can't explain how chocolate tastes. Nobody would understand you. A person who's never tasted chocolate could not get the same experience by you explaining it until you gave them a spoon with some Haagen-Dazs chocolate ice cream on it with a cherry on top. Okay? So remember, no explanations, only experiences. You want that brand new person leaving empowered. Every time I go to a meeting, if I see a person who enrolled into the company and I see them leaving without 2 boxes of coffee, I say to myself, there goes a person who's about to quit. Because history has shown me and proven to me, okay, that they're going to go out and explain to people what they just saw last night instead of give them a sample and let those people experience it. If you listen to the majority of the distributors who became rubies, emeralds, and diamonds, you will hear them say, oh, I had a sample of the coffee first. But you'll never hear them say, oh, yeah, they explained to me how this coffee tastes, and man, I was so excited I got involved. No, they say, I got a sample of coffee first. Okay? Now, so that's why you want them leaving with 2 boxes of coffee. Remember, this is what I tell them. Let's just say, for example, okay, that I had, let's just say, for example here, that I had, let's say I was talking to Casey Nielsen, okay? And I had Casey Nielsen, she just got involved in the business. I'm going to ask her a question. Casey, let me ask you a question. Do you want to build this business slow or do you want to build it fast? Ladies and gentlemen, that question has made me, I can't even quantify it right now, but I can tell you it's in the high multiple 7 figures. Because success is not about how many great things you can say. You know, your income and your success are going to be in direct proportion to the quality of questions that you ask. Stop becoming a talker and become a professional question asker, if there's such a word. Okay? Casey, do you want to build it slow or you want to build it fast? The reason that I say fast last is because people will typically go with the answer that's the last one heard. There's a lot of psychology in everything that we do. She's going to say fast. Great. Well, Casey, listen. It's going to take about 7 to 10 days for your product to come. If we wait that long, that's working the business slow. Would it be okay with you if I showed you how to put some money in your pocket tomorrow? Hello. She's going to say, oh, of course, yes. Then what am I going to do? Casey, here, I want you to go ahead and take this box of black and this box of latte. Give me $30, and I'm not going to charge you shipping or taxes. You say, well, Holton, well, if I do that with everybody, you mean to tell me I'm going to pick up the shipping? No, that's why our system is interdependent. If you're on a case of product, you pay no shipping for your coffee. That's why I say every part works and it has a purpose. That's why we can say it, because I'm assuming you're on a case of product and you pay your $4.50 for your case, there's no shipping. If you're out there buying 100 here and 200 here, you're paying shipping for everything and you're costing yourself money. So I give those 2 boxes to Casey. Guess what? When she leaves with her magazine, she leaves with her presentation book, she learns the 4 steps. She can now sample coffee tomorrow at work without having to explain how a latte tastes. And what I'm going to do is I just saved Casey from failing or having what I call grave disappointment in the business. That's why we do that. That's why those steps are so important. Do you make sure every person that you just brought in got 2 boxes of coffee that same day? Now, I do not under any circumstances say, hey, listen, I know you're having money challenges, so here, I'm going to give you 2 boxes of coffee, and you just, when yours come in, you just give them back to me. I don't trade volume. This is not a swap meet. You should have the mentality that you've got a multi-million-dollar business. Even if you haven't sold your first box of coffee, you got to have that mentality. My business does millions of dollars of sales. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have that mentality, I'm telling you, you'll work yourself up to making it happen. Step 1. Now, I want you to understand this. I'm going through this pretty quickly now. Edwin Haynes and myself did a training in Memphis, a Super Saturday, and the whole Super Saturday for 6 hours was only the 4 steps. I can train on it for 2 days in terms of all the psychology behind why it works the way it works. We've taken all the complex things, all the things and reasons why people have failed in network marketing. We've eliminated the majority of those reasons by putting something so simple together called the 4 steps. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, it works every single time. Okay, step 1. Step number 2. What's step number 2? A list of prospects. A list of prospects. So going back to step 1, the final one is this. This is how to gauge whether your meeting, your CJM went great. When people leave with 2 boxes of coffee, that determines whether your business is great or not. Okay? Let me tell you why you need a gold pack. If you're building it the right way and you have a CJM, which I'll get to in step number 3, let's say you sponsored 10 people in your CJM, how many boxes of coffee did you sell? 20 boxes. Do you see why you'll never have enough coffee if you're building the business the way we tell you? Okay? So make sure that you do it the way that we're suggesting. Step number 2, a list of prospects, 50 opportunity seekers, 50 coffee drinkers. Not 40. Some of you say, well, you know, people don't know 100 people. There you go. Paint your arches fuchsia. Paint them red. Okay? People do know 100 people. Most people that you enroll have more than 100 people in their cell phone. If they're telling you they don't know 100 people, it simply means that they have a belief issue either with the opportunity or with the person who's going to expose the opportunity for them, and it possibly could be they have a belief issue in you. But everybody knows 100 people. I can guarantee it. If you guarantee them within 3 minutes that they have to put down 100 names, and you'll give them a $100 bill for every 100 names they write down, I can guarantee you there will be nobody who will leave the room without the $1,000 or the $10,000. So they do know them. It's just a belief issue. Okay? So let's go ahead and talk about why the 50. Why is 50 so critical? Okay? 50 is so important. It's a real important number. Now, what happens is this here. 50 opportunity seekers. What are the opportunity seekers for? It's going to be for step 3. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take these 50 people and take them through what we call the ITS formula. I, invite, T, taste, S, share. The ITS formula, ITS. Invite, taste, share. That's all we do in OG. Invite, taste, share. The 50 coffee drinkers are going to be for those, for us to go ahead and use a coffee sales script so that we can sell the coffee that we actually already pre-ordered. Now, you may say, well, I don't have a money issue. I can afford the gold pack. It doesn't matter. You should use the coffee sales script as an example to your organization so that you can say, I did it. I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Shane didn't need the money. I didn't. Shane could afford a gold pack. I could, but we got on the phone ourselves and we actually used the coffee sales script to our coffee prospects and sold coffee over the telephone. Okay? Over the telephone. Now, 50 people, the purpose of 50 coffee drinkers is so that you can actually pre-sell a gold pack. You can pre-sell a gold pack. All right? If on the average, each person only bought, let's just say that on the average they bought 1 box of coffee, which we know that they'll buy more. Okay? So $30 retail times 50 people is $1,500. A gold pack is typically $1,388 if it's being shipped to Houston. It's all been thought of. We already understand what's going to take place. We already know what the numbers are. Let's just say that you don't get 100%, which you typically don't because everybody's not at home, but the average person is going to buy 2 boxes of coffee when you use the phone script, and guess what? 25 people buying 2 boxes of coffee is the exact same result. Now, 50 opportunity seekers. What's the purpose of 50? Don't do 40. Don't do 20. Don't say, well, get 10 first, and then and then get the other 40 later. I like what Jose Ardon says. It's probably the reason he's one of the reasons he is the very first $1 million income earner in 12 months. Okay, with 3 people chasing him on his tail. All right. Jose says, Mr. Holton, I sit with them. And I go through this and I tell them I'm going to give them 30 minutes to come up with their list of 100. And if you come up with your list of 100, I'll work with you personally. But if you take 31 minutes, I'll pass you on to one of my emeralds because that's who you're qualified to work with. And when I heard him tell Bass Grant that when we were in the Ruby retreat, I said, wow, this is some powerful posture. He understands what's going on. He's not saying, you know what, I'm going to let you go get by with 90 or 45. No, he understands that the system is the system. The Big Mac says 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pick pickles and onions on a sesame seed bun. It didn't say 2 all beef almost patties, or 1.5 all beef patties, or 2 half beef and half pork patties. It says 2 all beef patties. I know some of you say, man, Holston, you need to go get a McDonald's franchise. You use so many examples of them. But I'm just giving you an example of how to think through this process. You can't use employee mentality and expect to get entrepreneurial results, okay? Now, let me wind this up. I know the people who are on the regular bridge have already gotten cut off. I'm looking at my phone. It's 9:05 already. So let me go ahead and wrap this up, okay? Now, so the 50 opportunity seekers, why 50? Because when we say, hey, Casey, let me ask you a question. You want to make money slow or fast? She says fast. Casey, listen, would it be okay with you if I show you how to make about $2,000 this month? She says, yes, that'd be fine. Casey, let me ask you, what's the least business not on your schedule outside of Tuesday and Thursday? She says Saturday. Casey, next Saturday, I'll be at your house. I'm going to show you how to make about $500. Is that okay with you? She says, yes. Casey, can you guarantee me 10 people at your house? She's going to say, yeah. Well, where are the 10 people going to come from? This is what I'm going to tell Casey. Casey, did you make your list of 50? She says, sure I did. Opportunity seekers. Casey, let me explain to you how you're going to get 10 people at your house. To get 10 people at your house, which is going to result, in this example, $500, okay? I'm not going to go through that right now, but that's typically what's going to happen. Casey, you're going to need to have anywhere from 20 to 25 people to confirm that they will be there. Everybody's not going to show up, and everybody's not going to keep their word like you do. To have 20 to 25 people to confirm, you're going to need to talk to about 30 to 35 people, because some are not going to come, some may not be interested. Some just may not be able to schedule it. Casey, in order to talk to 30 to 35 people, you're going to need to have a list of 50 people, because some are not even going to be home when you dial their phone. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, we say 50 opportunity seekers. It's not because we just came up with this great number that's even. We know what the results are, what you need, raw materials, in order to get 10 people at the house so that we can create $500 for you. Say, well, where's the other 1,500 from? You said, Holton, you're going to have her make $2,000 this month. It comes from step number 3, book 4 CJMs. I'll show her how to make $500 this Saturday, but I've got 3 other Saturdays that I'm going to actually do CJMs for her. And guess what? I'll make the other 1,500 on the other 3 Saturdays. It's all synchronized. You've got to book the 4 CJMs. When you book 1 CJM, it simply means, this is step 3 now, book 4 CJMs. Step 3 simply means this. It means, ladies and gentlemen, that step 3, if you book 1 CJM, it means that you don't plan for people to get involved. It means that you're thinking that you're going to show up and nobody's going to get in. You book 4 because you are anticipating new growth, okay? That's the reason why. Step number 4, 18-month commitment, plug into the system of events. 18-month commitment, plug into the system. Why 18 months? Because it's not an 18-day. It's not an 18-minute process. It's not an 18-week process. 18-month process. 18 months of being around our system, we know for a fact it's already proven that people can actually get what I call millionaire status in this business. It's already happened. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean everybody who goes through 18 months is going to be a millionaire. We know for a fact that the opportunity will be there. It's whether you take advantage of it or not. That's the key thing. Whether you take advantage of it or not. Okay? So, those are the 4 steps. Plug into all the meetings. Attend all events. Whatever the next event is, you get them registered for the next event. Ladies and gentlemen, closing out, I want to share something with you. I told you.
All right, guys. Been a bit of a long one, but what I want to make sure with this is that every Sunday evening, 8:30 p.m., we make sure we plug into this. Okay, it can be a little bit heavy for some people. It is the Millionaire Mentorship Call. Obviously, we've got the quick start trainings and other stuff like that, but definitely beneficial stuff. Just in closing now, I just want to let everyone know that we're going to run a campaign. So people who have got started in the month of January, what we're going to do is, if you upgrade to gold, before the month ends, there's going to be a small promotion on personal development. There's going to be some good gifts. So if you can upgrade to gold, as we've explained tonight, the importance of that, then make that happen. Also, I'm going to make available another bonus that is going on at the minute. It's called the Rocket Bonus. That will be placed in the secret Facebook group in the next 5 minutes. So just in closing, who's in the hunt? Who's going to make this happen? Who's going to make OG the biggest brand in the UK? And for me, let's make sure we get to the Steve Martin event. I'm going to place the Eventbrite tickets on there, guys. So I'm not going to keep any longer. Been a great night. Thank you for your time. Good night.